Hello, Internet, and welcome to another episode of the Monday Miniatures Ramble with me, Doc Eon. It's Monday, the 17th of June, 2019. It's time to ramble, and we're going to ramble about these Reaper Bones, all from the Bones for Kickstarter. We have 12 Kobolds here, which are from the core set. And yeah, they painted up okay. The detail is pretty good for such small minis and for the material. And yeah, I'll still picks at the end. I'm not going to spend much time here showing them off. Were there any difficulties? No real difficulties. And yeah, not a whole lot to say really. Then I finished this piece of scenery. I guess you could call it a gazebo. The inside of the roof is perhaps not as clear, but then again, not many people are going to look at that. It's darker. It's supposed to be sort of a blue, represent the blue sky and green vines across it, whereas the top is just a leafy canopy with some vines. Don't know if you can tell that there are leaves interspersed among there. And for the base, I don't know, I tried to do something, a colorful mosaic, something to set it off. And as I mentioned, it's a little lopsided, but whatever. It's a fancy architecture. So, yeah, that was the finished stuff for this week. Let's move on to works in progress and talk a little bit more about why this was all. Now, unfortunately, that was all I got done the past week. Well, not all I got done, but all that was finished. And there was a couple of reasons for that. One was that painting night at the game store was cancelled at the last moment because of illness. They didn't have the staff to man it. So these two models, which I should have finished then and there, have only been painted a little at home. They're like barely 50% done, if that. Because, when I don't go to that painting night, I just don't focus as much for some reason. There's too many distractions when I'm painting at home. And for the rest of the week, there were too many other things I had to do in the evenings. I just did not get much time to paint. But I did get, I finished those kobolds and the gazebo, and I got some paint on these. A little paint on the elves. I don't know how much more than last week, but it's just some rough base coats, or in this case undercoats, just trying to rough it in. And I have gotten the first batch of goblins prepped, primed, and some base coats on them. The base coats are on the dirt on the bases and on the skin. And, well, I've undercoated the wood and the metal as well. So I think those should go by rather quickly. So I think what I'm going to do is tonight at the gaming store painting night, I will bring these two plus the two new ones, and I'll finish these first, and I'll get as much done on the two new minis as possible. I'll show you those in a minute. Because at least one of those is very simple. One of them is mostly just armor. He's just going to be metal, all metal, and that will not take much time. The other pirate is a little trickier, but we'll see how it goes. I do want to show you one other thing, because I did go to the game store for another brief painting session 2 days ago on Saturday, because they had a demo of the new Citadel contrast paints. And I'm going to put up some stills that I snapped of the miniature I tested it out on. I did not bring it home with me because it was such a boring mini. It was just not interesting. They made, I think the guy who organized that made a bit of a mistake, because the models he had for us to test it on were either your standard Space Marines or some Sigmarites. And both of those are, you know, they have this armor with the wide open spaces and the curves to them, and the contrast paints do not work well on those. They act like washes on them. They leave tide marks on the big surfaces. They work better on things like cloth, and you'll see in these pictures I'm putting up that the thing I'm most happy about is the base. Actually, it worked pretty well on the base, but I don't know, they have their very severe limitations. I'm not going to review them more than that right now. I think they're good for some things, maybe, but I would need more time to experiment with them before I could give you a really well-considered opinion. Yeah, but okay, look at these pictures and then we'll move on to some other stuff that I prepped. And here's all the non-goblin related stuff I've prepped for the coming weeks. We have the next store project. To get the painting night project. The primer layer was not perfect on these, so but I don't know. It probably doesn't matter. We'll paint over it as we go. We have all the Dark Sword minis prepped. They are, I've probably talked about this before. Dark Sword miniatures are kind of difficult to paint because they're sort of true scale. They are very, very delicate in the sculpts. It's hard to get paint on them in a good way. And also they are a bear to assemble. Something like this figure here, so many parts, and the connecting points are so small. There's a lot of accelerant used with the super glue here to get it to stick, which means it's probably pretty brittle and fragile, and I don't want to, this is a piece I will paint very carefully, and then it will go into a cabinet and never be touched. And here we have the bit of scenery. It's just been primed. And yeah, not a lot to say really. We'll just start trucking on these and see how far we get. This is the next group of 12 goblins, the sort of army men, the ones that are, there's 3 different sculpts, 4 of each. I've prepped them by cleaning them up, straightening. These had a lot of wobbly bits, the axe shafts and the spear shafts and these large two-handed swords. They were all pretty bent, out of shape, and had to be straightened with the boiling ice water method. And then I, as usual, glued them onto these washers. I cut off the excess. These bases were mostly kind of oval, but they didn't need to be. The footprint wasn't that. Their stances aren't wider than the 20 millimeter for any of them. These are sort of right on the edge. And so I just trimmed off the excess and then filled out with my usual, I haven't shown this in a while, this is what I use, the Vallejo Earth Texture, Dark Earth paste, which is the quick and easy way to do it. I might need to put, sometimes when it dries it sort of shrinks a little bit. I might have to add some, or I can add some of this. This is the other stuff I have, the rough gray pumice, which does not, this stuff doesn't cover as well as the dark earth. It's more, this is more for laying an extra layer of dirt on top of something else. For example, you can add it to terrain, to scenery, to simulate that there's a little bit of dirt that's blown in on it, and it doesn't cover it completely. I can show you perhaps what it looks like. No, I can't open it with one hand, so sorry. Anyway, then we have these others. I haven't done anything with these either yet, but I think this huge giant goblin, he's gonna have to be on a 25 mil base, but the others I can probably fit on 20 mils. And well, even these ones, they're a bit, well, we'll see. Anyway, that's where we are with them. Now, this is the time in Sprockets when we dance. Was I dating myself with that reference? I guess so. Kids, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, ask your parents. Anyway, this is actually a time when I talk about upcoming projects and or new arrivals. And I thought I would have some new arrivals to show you, but because I placed an order with Reaper a while back and it was shipped from the UK warehouse 16 working days ago, but you know, Royal Mail and Post Nord working together have conspired to delay it a really long time. I mean, it's coming close to a record for how long something takes to get to me from the UK. Anyway, I placed that order because I wanted to get the promo mini for last month. I placed it at the end of last month, and I'm going to place a new order this month because I want this month's promo mini as well. So this not buying any new minis resolve has weakened. But I think during the summer at least, I'm keeping up the speed at which I'm painting quite a lot, so it's compensating for it a little bit. Anyway, these two are from Heresy Miniatures. These are some classic, iconic figures, the cleric and the fighter, or maybe a paladin. And these are the ones I intend for next week's store session, as long as I finish the ones I'm currently working on, which I might or might not. And you know, yeah, I just pulled them out of my collection of stuff I'd bought from Heresy a long while back, and they spoke to me. I just felt like these are really cool guys. You know, these could be player characters. I want to paint them up. And then we go on to the bones, stuff from the Kickstarter. And of course I want, at least as I said, one piece of scenery each week until I finish it. And this is this week's artifact, which is a ruined temple, or ruined shrine. It's a big rectangular piece of plastic with some a floor, a little bit of wall still standing. There's pillars that I have to attach. There's a statue which is kind of all banged up. It's missing a hand and so forth. I think that's intentional, actually. It looks like stuff has been sheared off. It hasn't crumbled off. It's like somebody has... it's kind of odd. It looks like somebody sliced off part of the statue with a big axe or something. Not sure if that can happen. But anyway, the challenge here is going to be to find different shades of gray Not, I don't think I can find 50 of them, but or other colors that stone can be. So you know, have the floor be one color, the walls another, the days maybe slightly different, and the statue something else. We'll see. Figure it out as I go along. And then adding, I don't want to. Because I still have so many goblins to go through, I don't want to pick out any more army figs, so I've gone for something that has fewer, more individual type creatures. So there's this collection of monsters. This is, I believe, a wyvern, and this is I think an owlbear, and the pieces left here are a griffin. So there's 3 classic, iconic D&D monsters right there. In this bag we have, this was in stretch goal, called Sophie and Friends, and it is a combination of 4 minis. We have Sophie the succubus dressed as a barmaid, a succubus serving beer. We have a couple of other female characters. This one is a simple one piece. Well, it's not simple, but some sort of person with 2 swords. And this, I believe, it's in a bunch of pieces, so it's hard to tell what it's going to look like when it's finished. But it has some sort of sword as well. And this is a minotaur. I believe it's supposed to be a female minotaur, which is unusual. We don't see many of those. But I'm not 100% sure that it is. We'll see when it's put together. Yeah. So, nice collection of stuff. What is it? It's 2, 6, 9, just 10 pieces in total. That's a conservative addition to the queue compared to the past few weeks. But we'll see how things go. As I think I've mentioned, today is actually my last day of work before summer vacation. I'm gonna do some work, some prep work for my upcoming classes during the summer, but it's it's not going to be on the clock. I can do it in my own time, wherever I feel like. That's different. It's not going to be 8-hour days of work. Yeah, that was the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Click like if you did. Subscribe, share, comment, and all that good stuff. And I will see you again, same time, same channel, a week from now. Till then, I'm Daki Young, and I'm signing off.